We retraced last year's path to Haast and our fishing spot at the mouth of the Okura River by travelling around lakes Wakatipu, Hawea and Wanaka and over the Haast Pass before heading out to the west coast. Welcome back from the sunny west coast. It's October. We haven't actually put up anything since the end of May when I was chasing trout at the mouth of the Upakura River near Te Anea. A bit's happened since then. The boys have finished their rugby. The old blue truck has finally died. The rust in the alternator ended up getting it. Wasn't worth fixing. So it's in indefinite storage in Mum's shed. And it's the second week in October, so we are back down here at the Okura mouth. You can see there's a couple of guys scooping down there. There's a couple of set nets a bit further back. The last one's involved with that jet boat, which is looks like it's just trundling across to the other side. There were 3 guys down here fishing before. They've packed up and left. Max is constructing something in the sandbank, and we've had 2 drags so far. And we got about 24 on the first one and 2 on the second one, so the fishing's not exactly setting the world on fire. Since we came down last year, the river has taken quite a few metres out of the bank we fish on. The piece where we used to park the truck is gone. All the whales are gone, which I guess is good. But the council are a bit panicked about it because if it goes a bit further it's going to start eating up the road, and the road's pretty important to the people that live down in Hannah's Clearing and Jackson Bay. So about 5 weeks ago we saw in the paper that they had cut a channel through the sandbar directly opposite where the Okura flows into its estuary, and the theory there is the next time there's a big flood the Okura will just blow straight out to the sea, and this long estuary we've got now, which is probably a couple of kilometres long, will become dead water and the erosion will stop. Obviously if that happens, there's no point fishing down here anymore. There'll be no current. The whitebait should be coming up directly into the estuary opposite where the Okura comes in, and then straight up the Okura. Not particularly great for our fishing, but it hasn't happened yet. We have been keeping an eye on it rather nervously. There is a website that's got a nice satellite image on it that's updated every 2 or 3 days, providing it's not cloudy, that shows you what's happening, and it hasn't happened to date. There is a bit of rain forecast for the next few days, so that could do it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the current's been so slack down here today, even at low tide, that we probably do need a bit of rain just to get a bit of current in it, get a bit of water going out to sea, and hopefully a bit of whitebait coming up. She wasn't much good today. No fire today, a bit wet, a bit windy, and all those acres of driftwood that were here last year are all gone. So just had another drag, no whitebait. One of the other scoopers has packed it up and left, and I think we're going to do the same. it's day 2. The weather is a little bit wet, but it's not as bad as it was supposed to be. The forecasters have shunted all of the rain into tomorrow. There's supposed to be a ton of it, so we'll see how that goes. We've had a couple of drags down here, 7 whitebait on the first, 6 on the second, so nothing too flash. The river's come up a little bit, so there's a bit more current in it today than there was yesterday, which is good. So if there's any whitebait around, they'll be pushed in towards the sides. The sea is pretty rough, as you can see there. And the wind is gusting in a little bit. We'll have a few more drags and see how we go, but we're not too hopeful today. Hopefully we get all this rain tomorrow, the river will flood, it'll go down, the sea will level off, and hopefully a bit of whitebait will come in so we can take a few kilos home for the freezer. So another scoop and another few dozen. So we're still having a few drags. We're getting 2, 3, 4 dozen per time, but that's about it. We're about halfway through the tide. We'll have a few more. We're about to relocate a bit further up the river because we're about to get flooded out here by the waves, and we'll see how we go. Well, the kids have buggered back off to base with the wife. I've stayed down here for a couple more drags. We're still getting 40, 50, 60 per drag, so it's not too bad. We're slowly accumulating. We're well over halfway through the tide. There's still plenty of current in the river, so there's obviously been a bit of rain overnight. It's still flushing down through the system. We're waiting for that big rain tomorrow, so we'll see what that does. There was 2 guys down here scooping probably until about 5 minutes ago. There's one left here now and me. I'm fishing a bit further back where there's a bit more current and seem to be picking them up there. We'll do 2 or maybe 3 more drags and see how we go, and then we'll call it a day. She's been a long and wet one. So it's getting pretty lonely down here at the Okuru mouth, and the last 2 drags have told me it should probably be deserted. We're still pulling in a dozen or 2 each drag, but the tide's come up and the current's slacking off. There's plenty of shallows here rather than a nice drop off to fish, so we're going to call it a day. We'll go back and clean up the whitebait, have a weigh up and see what we got. So that's today's catch. I would say in the scheme of things, with the way the weather was forecast and how we didn't get anything on Monday, I'd say that's a success. Let me clean it, bag it up, and we'll see what it all weighs. So 480 grams, just over a pound. For a day's fishing on the west coast, I'll take that. Hopefully get a couple more and we can take a couple of kgs home. Tune in for part 2 when we have a flood, check out Jackson's Bay and catch a bunch more whitebait.
Here we have Dad. He's big. Hardly fits in his truck that he brought. 10 cents. Probably gonna blow up soon.
What?
This is the ugly boy. He lives in the ugly cave with his ugly dog. Oh God! Help me!